1985, pretty important year for video games. Why? Lots of reasons. One of them, Gauntlet. 4 players, 4 characters, lots of turkey, no more quarters left, and you've got yourself a crazy hack and slash dungeon crawling game. Fast forward to now, it's been 8 years since one. Well, 8 years since a Gauntlet. There's a lot of hack and slash dungeon crawling games these days. Now, we've got this game, this new Gauntlet, developed by an indie studio, Arrowhead Games. Is it any good? How does it fit in with modern games? Let's break it down. Gauntlet is a hack and slash dungeon crawling game in the purest sense. Each of the 4 characters boast unique playstyles and abilities which define them beyond their classic-inspired names and designs. Pick a character, pick a door, and kill all the things in your way. That's the gist of it. By using your abilities, dying in particular fashions, or completing basic challenges throughout the game, your character gains masteries which make it slightly more powerful. Gauntlet is a very simple game. It has few bells and whistles, and sticks to its bow and arrows all the way through. But is it rated S? Dungeon crawling has changed in almost every regard since Gauntlet's debut. Hacking and slashing your way through dungeons over and over in the same kind of way may not really cut it anymore. Now games haven't really opted to get rid of that sort of gameplay. Instead, it's supplemented with lengthy stories, complex stat building systems, and nifty puzzle elements. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. Gauntlet? No, none of those things, not even the new one. Now, that's kinda refreshing, but very, very ballsy. Whether or not Gauntlet works hinges almost entirely on the gameplay found while in the dungeons. That experience is largely shaped by 3 factors: who everyone is playing as, which dungeon is being explored, and which difficulty is being played on. We'll begin with the characters. Players will choose from one of 4 characters to play as: Thor the Warrior, Thyra the Valkyrie, Merlin the Wizard, or Questor the Elf. Each character embodies the classic concepts of strength, constitution, intelligence, and dexterity respectively. The warrior hits like a barbaric truck and doesn't have a lot of options for hitting like anything other than one. His charge and spin attack grant him some mobility and protection while granting his enemies severed bodies and, worst of all, severed spirits. The Valkyrie is essentially Captain America with more actual weapons. When thrown, her shield mows down conveniently lined up enemies, but until it comes back, she won't be able to block. Be careful not to lunge into a shieldless death. The wizard is old and wise, and so of course can't just use basic attacks. Instead, he pulls from an arsenal of 9 different spells. By combining lightning, fire, and ice, he can control crowds, blow crowds up, repel crowds, jump through crowds. He's pretty versatile. Brittle though, like an alcoholic twig. The elf is a thieving bastard and his entire moveset confirms it. He can safely dodge in and out of combat, or more likely in and out of rooms full of treasure, dropping or harpooning bombs to various surfaces when he feels like helping. The character design choices in Gauntlet are core to the experience. They're not just reskins of each other, not just modified stat growth patterns or 1 or 2 different abilities. These guys feel totally different from each other. Even though the Warrior and the Valkyrie, for instance, are both melee classes, they fill totally different combat rules. Everyone excels in different areas and falter in others. For instance, the fact that the elf's basic attacks don't even harm spawners, which the game makes liberal use of, heavily influence your priorities as an elf player. It's not a matter of how you choose to grow your character. You have literal limitations and superiorities that you must learn to master. Each character synergizes with the other ones in different ways. Ideally, you want all 4 characters at the same time for maximum carnage and variety and silly dialogue, but there's much to explore within the dynamics of even just a duo. There can be no duplicate characters, which may seem either unfortunate or inconsequential, but this decision forces players to find and facilitate synergies rather than pile up advantages to offset the combat design. Though forming some kind of Thor wizard fireball spewing megazord does sound kind of awesome. You have to tackle the game head on, deal with your character's weaknesses, and figure out how best to survive. Even if you only like one character in Gauntlet, playing with other characters and in different dungeons is totally going to change up your experience. Characters have different combat roles against bosses, and some of those are going to take some time for mastery, especially if you're going to play on hard, not to mention unfair. But before we get to that, let's look at some of the individual dungeons themselves. Each non-boss chapter, or each door, in Gauntlet is broken up into 3 stages, all of which are set in stone. The first stage in each chapter will be your basic dungeon crawling fare of piling down a series of hallways and rooms, throwing caution to the wind at the mere sight of gold. Most of these have nifty progression themes like having to build an exit bridge or unlock a door with idols. They're not actually puzzles, but they give each level an identity. Sometimes just the combat scenarios themselves are memorable. I remember exactly what level has the 2 spider fights in the dark room, because the first time I did it, I got fucking squished to death. And I almost choked on the irony. The second stages are usually sprints in which you must trudge through pitch black darkness or escape death. Literally escape death, because you keep fucking taking all of his money, and he wants it back. That or he just wants to cuddle. The sprint levels are pretty straightforward, and the ones in the third dungeon are a bit too long, but they work as hack and slash bridges between stages 1 and 3. The third stages are elongated arena fights which can quickly become overwhelming if you're not prepared. Often arena or room designs in stages 1 and 3 are simple shapes or combinations of shapes with traps or obstacles, etc., and aren't particularly exciting at first. But due to the intricacies of the character's attack patterns and ranges, they create specific challenges. These designs are simple but meaningful. Each combination of characters will deal with them differently, thus alleviating replay fatigue on subsequent playthroughs. Each of the 3 dungeons have their own feel and challenges, rather than the third one being harder than the first one. For instance, the sword and shield skeletons from the first dungeon are probably the hardest special enemies to fight, and the second boss is definitely the easiest. I do wish that there were more levels, but what is there is definitely replayable and worth replaying, partially because you have different characters and different parties and teams, but also because the way that the game handles difficulty. Now, I've mentioned a few times that people like to steal shit when playing this game. On normal difficulty, that's totally fine. In fact, I'd say it's encouraged because it's pretty damn fun to steal shit. Though probably not in real life, because if you steal life-saving food right in front of your friend and then he's mauled to death by a mummy, you're probably gonna have a lot of the whole guilt thing. Everyone shares the same screen, even if you're playing online, and everyone pulls from the same pool of lives, but that's all you share, and for the most part, you share it reluctantly. If your friends could just fuck off and die, that'd be great. Then you'd have all the gold to yourself. On normal. At the end of each level, there's a gauge showing who got the best gold and kill score, as well as who netted the elusive golden crown bonus. You'd think that that golden crown bonus is the most fucking important thing on the planet while playing this game. You will let your friends die. You will throw exploding barrels at them. You will abandon all comprehension of victory in the name of putting that little golden piece of shit on your head. On normal. Gauntlet on normal is challenging, yes, but there's plenty of room to make mistakes as you get used to your character. The boss battles are still engaging, and you may have to play them a couple times if everyone's equally new to the game. But once you're used to Gauntlet, normal shouldn't be too tough. You can have irresponsible fun, laugh it up with your friends, and enjoy each other's company without having to focus entirely on the game. Hard is not that. The Gauntlet of 1985 was constant monsters spawning and running straight at your face forever. This Gauntlet, on hard, without being relegated to that little grid formation, accomplishes that same feeling, but oh my fucking gosh, some levels are ridiculous. The dialogue goes from casual discussion with friends, maybe a little bit of a story time, talking about your past or maybe your present or future, all the way to an incredibly serious, almost military-like discussion of how exactly you need to manipulate your character's abilities to best not fucking die for the final fucking time. That little difference makes replaying the game on a harder difficulty feel like a completely different experience, a rare feat for games of this nature. Due to the way that the levels are designed to the character's particular quirks, adding more, faster, and stronger enemies isn't just fake replay value, it's not just padding. It really creates a different experience, a test of skill with your character and a test of focus with your team. That kind of stressful yet rewarding payoff for beating this game on hard or on unfair where there is no food, that is an awesome experience. It's definitely worth pursuing. But if you want to relax, play on normal. And with that mix of casual and of challenging, with that awesome interpersonal gameplay and memorable level designs, this game is absolutely rated S. Thank you for watching. Hey everybody, it's Todd here. Just want to thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. And if you want to see more, feel free to subscribe. And if you like this video, feel free to like and let me know what you think in the comments below. But if you want to see more stuff, first of all, I got a couple videos on the left and the right there, self-explanatory. But this video right here in the center, top 6 indie games of this summer, is not on my channel. It's on Boku no Eruption's channel, and I collabed with him on this video, so I would watch it because it is funny, and also there are 6 good games in there. So go watch it. Bye!